Good evening, fellow YPs. Good evening. Last year, when I had the opportunity to speak before you when I was running for vice president, I shared an excerpt from a book by former National Urban League Executive Director Whitney M. Young. And as I was preparing my remarks this evening, I felt compelled to share it again. Whitney M. Young stated that as Americans, we find ourselves, even with our rich resources and high prosperity, unable to understand the chronic unemployment that besets us, the need for greater education, health, and welfare services, and the fact that there do exist islands of poverty within our sea of affluence. He said this in 1964, and here we are nearly 50 years later and the same challenges exist, and too many lives are suffering because of it. The Urban League Young Professionals has the ability to do something about this. More importantly, I believe we have the moral obligation to meet the challenges of our present reality. I stand before you tonight because I believe in this organization. I am a proud member of the Urban League, and I'm a proud member of the Urban League Young Professionals. I stand before you tonight as a person who has often felt that I've been born in the wrong era. I was not around during the heights of the civil rights movement, but I have an overwhelming, overpowering connection to it. It's a connection that has guided my thoughts, my actions, and my life decisions. How this connection came to be is hard to pinpoint. And maybe because I come from a lineage of activists, like my father, who did voter registration drives in Harlem, New York with Coretta Scott King. It could be because I grew up in a town that was segregated by a hill where the haves lived on the top and the have-nots lived on the bottom, where I went to school and played basketball. Whatever it was, the struggle for civil rights and economic justice just is who I am, and it's what I've dedicated my life to. And as I stand before you tonight, I'm praying that there's others in this room who are willing to do the same thing. Because the needs in our community need a dedicated circle of what Dr. King called transformed nonconformists. Dr. King stated that our society will not change through the complacent adjustment of the conforming majority, but through the creative maladjustment of the nonconforming minority. Urban League Young Professionals, it's time for us to be transformed nonconformists. I believe we should be at the forefront of the issues that are in our community. More specifically, I believe that UOYP can alter the story of St. Louis, from a city in despair to a city in repair. A thriving community in which all youth have afforded the educational opportunities, have crime-free streets to play in, and pathways to a prosperous future. A community in which the right to vote is never under attack. Our organization has had remarkable leadership over the past 11 years, and because of that we have firm ground to stand on as well as leap to the next level, and that's what we need to do. Our community needs our voice. Our community needs a resurgence of talented young leaders who are relentless in their pursuit for economic and social equality. There are concrete measures that our organization can take to address racial disparities within our education system, our prison system, and our workforce, to address the crime in our streets and the malnutrition within our homes. As president, we would work together, because while I'd be serving as president, it's the collective voice and the collective action of all of us that really make this happen. And so as president, if I have your vote, we will work to establish the Urban League Young Professionals as an influential voice in this community. We will become the premier training ground for young professionals to learn civic and leadership skills, to serve not only in this organization, because we need them to serve in this organization, but we need the UOYP brand to be serving in other organizations and making a difference to further the movement. We will implement a comprehensive outcome-driven community involvement plan that is comprised of youth mentoring, board placement, issue advocacy, and supporting, and this is important, supporting our local affiliates, programs, and services. We will ensure that the Urban League movement is relevant in the 21st century. We will be and do more for this movement. I have a lot of passion, and many of you know that. Fortunately, I also have the experience. I've been with this organization for almost 5 years. I've had the honor of serving as parliamentarian and vice president. I've learned the inner workings. I was part of the process that created the new structure that we have. I know our future. I serve on a national committee, and I know the scope of what our movement is about. I'm not simply asking for your vote tonight. I am asking for your vote. But more importantly, I'm asking each of you, it's true, I'm asking each of you to recommit to this movement. I'm asking each of you to be and do more for this movement. I'm here, I'm ready, I'm willing to serve, I'm willing to do more for this movement. I want you to join me. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Evan. Okay, so we're going to take the next 2 minutes to devote to questions. So please, if you have a question, raise your hand and I will try to recognize you.
I'm going to stay up here.
Yes, William.
As some of our members may or may not be aware, we work with the United Way and with the Urban League being a funding recipient of the United Way. It causes potential issues for United Way employees to serve in leadership roles. In our case, particularly representation of the board. Do you want to talk a little bit about what you've done in preparation, knowing that this conflict exists?
Yeah, it's a fairly simple question. The history of our chapter in this movement, we've had 2 young professionals presidents who have served at United Way served as president of Urban League Professionals while working at United Way, and it hasn't presented conflicts before. What we do is I just will not be the voting party on the board of directors. Someone will be in my place to serve as the voice on the board of directors. That is the only primary restriction that I have. As you probably already noted, given my involvement in the past of the organization, I'm able to do everything else, including fundraising, which is one of the most important functions.
Okay, next question.
A minute up.
So, Evan, let me ask you this. What do you see as the #1 challenge for our organization?
Like the biggest #1.
#1 challenge or opportunity, whatever comes to mind.
I mean, my mind says much challenge on the community itself, but really, I think there's a new, #1 challenge is not enough of us to know enough about the movement. There's some people who have a connection, haven't really had it fostered yet. So I think our #1 challenge is we don't know who we are and where we came from, we don't know where we're going to go. And so I really want to increase the understanding of the movement through our members. And one of the primary ways of doing that is also strengthen the ways and the methods of our member engagement, our member orientation, and our member training. I really believe if we strengthen that, everything else will follow.
Okay, great. Thank you, Evan.
Thank you.
Okay.